Greetings and salutations, my wonderful freaks. I am your Uncle Necro, and I welcome you all to the Tomb of the Terrible. It's the show in which I get to lovingly assault your senses with B-movie madness. Tonight, I am joined by Raz T. Slasher, Our Girl Friday, and Dell. And as for our first official movie, we bring you the terror that is Moose the Movie. Moose the Movie is a 2015 comedy horror written by the creators of Tundra the comic strip. A rash of bizarre moose trampling incidents has the residents of Gangrene Gulch, Alaska, on edge. In an attempt to restore the natural disorder of the quirky little town, newbie park ranger Zach teams up with the beautiful assistant coroner / crime scene investigator / part-time public librarian Samantha to solve the mystery. They soon find themselves hoofed deep in supernatural wackiness. It's rated PG for shenanigans, and be warned, spoilers are ahead.
Yes.
So, welcome everybody. This is a review that how many years now? 2, 3.
Since COVID.
Right. Almost 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, essentially, we saw this. I saw this at least on Amazon when it was free for the watching, and I watched it and I thought we need to talk about this. And I can't remember if you already knew about this, Dell, or I can't.
God, it's been so long. It's one of those things where James, by the way, has been doing a Movies and Beer podcast for forever, for those of you that don't know. And he couldn't get many people to watch B movies with him. Like, they're all, theater release. Yeah, let's go out and theatrical release. Let's go out and see that. Right. And then it was like, absolute horrible movie. Nobody wants to see it. But I do. So I would join him. And so we'd come across, when you watch enough on looking things up on IMDb or whatever, you always get you're heading in this direction of terribleness. Right. So I don't know if I saw it or if you told me first, but yeah.
Either way, we planned on doing this, and at one point your nephew wanted to sit in, but that time never really materialized, and then COVID wackiness, and then we kept talking about it, and now we're finally doing it. So
it's actually kind of over what you and I sort of met on originally, James, because she had talked to me about wanting to do it because I'd already heard of Moose. I already knew about it, and she had mentioned it to me, and that's kind of how you and I very first ever talked, was actually over this movie and potentially me joining you guys. But I lived in that shitty apartment that had that really loud ass air conditioner you couldn't not turn on or you would all die.
Yeah.
So, I was having sound issues at the time.
And technically, kind of, this movie is the reason that this new show exists.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, that
very much.
It was kind of an offshoot. It was kind of an offshoot of my original podcast, Movies and Beer. But, like I said, nobody wants to hear me talk by myself. It's much, much better when everybody else is around to talk about it. So.
And speaking of everybody else, real quick before we jump into the movie, Jeremy is not feeling well. He's been having some headaches, so hopefully he'll get to feeling some better soon. But
and in the words of the ever famous Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's not a tumor.
It's not.
I really hope not.
See, I was going to go for bring these people air. But yeah, that makes much more sense.
Yes, may the gods smile upon him.
I do have a special song I want to share with you guys, and I've shared this song before with lots of people. One day, and it's relevant to the movie, I promise.
Okay.
One day, I think it was my second or third day of my freshman year of high school. I walked into the cafeteria, and our cafeteria was it looked like an old 50s diner. It was weirdly kind of like Saved by the Bell, but not that nice. It was all, shoddy and run down, kind of old abandoned 50s diner kind of feel. And there's a little stage up there because sometimes the choir kids would go up or the band kids or whatever. Well, some seniors decided the whole first week of school they were just going to get up there and sing these weird and messed up songs. There's one about a rooster I'll teach you guys later because I've never talked about that one, but you guys need to know about it one day. But the other one was a moose song. And on this day, I walk in the cafeteria, get my food, I sit down. 3 guys get up and they go, oh, because it's moose. Moose. I like the moose. I've never had anything quite like the moose. I've had many women. My life has been loose, but I've never had anything quite like the moose. And then they just got off the stage and walked away. And I've been scarred with that song ever since.
Wow.
Yeah. Those were the exact lyrics. I still know these people. I still have no idea why they sang it that day or what the story was behind it, but I'll never forget those lyrics for the rest of my life.
So a little fun fact about moose is that they can swim, and they've been known to dive into the ocean, and that is why it's listed as one of their natural predators is the killer whale.
And they can kill them.
Yes.
Yes.
You don't want to fuck with a moose. They're like geese. They breed terrifying animals. Like everybody's like, oh, avoid Australia. Well, I guess you can't really see Australia's animals, but Canada's animals come charging at you like, fuck you, I'm going to get you.
They're better than us. They don't need to hide. They're just like, fuck you, buddy.
Take off, eh? But,
okay.
Yeah. So anyway, any initial opening thoughts about this movie?
Right off the bat, I'm just going to tell you, I fucking love this movie. This movie is now firmly in my top 10 favorite comedy horrors of all time. And that's a long list I've got. And it broke the top 10 with ease the first time I watched it. And this time around, it moved up a couple spots, even further. Okay. It's almost top 5.
Would you say it's better with each watching?
Yes, actually, because there is a shitload of little details peppered all throughout this movie that I caught even more than this time, and I'm pretty damn sure I can watch it another couple times and still find little things in the background.
It's like a Chip Zdarsky, like in his Sex Criminals. You don't quite notice something, and then you go, wait a minute, does that billboard in the back say, oh, you got me.
It's that
I missed that.
But okay, Jenny, you've been very quiet. What are your thoughts?
Well, everybody's talking. I wonder what type of roadkill they use. I absolutely love all the panning shots of everything, the streams. I love where they shot it. It's one of the most beautiful places. And I like how whitewashed certain places are in it, where it's just like clean and pretty, and then it gets splattered in blood. It's great.
The town that they filmed it in, and I forgot to write it down again this time, but the town that they used for Gangrene Gulch was actually a town that Sarah Palin, before she made her presidential run and was governor, she was mayor of the town.
Yeah.
So
it would be
that's a little fun fact.
So it was cursed to begin with, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite parts in the beginning, it's a very small town. I think they shrink it a little bit just for the sake of the movie. But Zach, the new park ranger who comes into town, goes into the office, and Mike, the old guy who's been there, the big time chief park ranger, takes on and is like, now let me take you out on a little tour of our fine town here, and takes outside, and he's like, that would be the library. That would be City Hall. That would be the combination this and this, and this is this, and this is this, and that's our town. And so it's like
the town in the movie is actually bigger than Hell, Michigan. It's bigger than Hell, Michigan.
And I thought Flat Rock, Alabama was small.
Rouse was the mayor of Hell one day.
For a whole day. It was
wow.
Lovely. Fantastic. And then I was impeached. There's a whole ceremony. There's a video of it somewhere. I don't know.
Wow. So, okay. So what really grabbed me was the fact that at first I thought it was going to be one of those no budget, kind of stupid, kind of horror movies that, let's face it, there's a lot of like low budget horror movies that you can tell that everybody was stoned on that. And they thought, I'm just making this to make my friends laugh. And a lot of the jokes don't what you would call land on it. However, this one was really well written, and although I think everybody was self-aware that this was just going to be, a bad movie, so they hammed it up. They got side characters that I want movies of them, and one of my favorites is the puppets. Let's talk about the puppets.
Let us talk about the puppets. So, as you're watching the show,
yeah,
there are puppets, and nobody except Zach finds this odd at all. He first is encountered by Alfonso.
Yes.
Who is a waiter, and he is French.
Oh,
yes. And if you try to talk to Eyebrows Man hiding there, he will not reply to you. But the puppets will. We also have George, who is both the cook and the coroner.
Okay, this is perfect. Hold on here, and let's talk about some of those packages. Because this is where I began to notice like the background stuff and going, wow, okay, they thought about this stuff.
If you keep in mind that it is both the coroner's office and the freezer for the Gangrene Gulch Diner, which is the Grease Trap Cafe.
Right.
Evidence soup up in the top left-hand corner really makes me go, oh dear.
The walrus sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Up there. And then, of course, the roadkill with the two hooves sticking out.
I didn't even notice the hooves. Oh my God.
It was like badger lard.
Yeah.
Pickled herring intros?
Yes. Pickled herring. And I love pickled herring, by the way. I
Right.
have never tried the entrails.
Broth.
So they actually sat there and thought about the intricacies of the script itself. Just the background gags. It brings up like classics like Airplane and the Police Squad movies. So
yeah, they just had a whole lot of fun with this movie.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of brothers that I want to point out.
Which ones?
The ones we meet up front, guys with I forget their names.
Doug and Wayne.
Yeah,
the
Doug
hunters.
From what I understand, they were only supposed to be in that one scene at the beginning, but everybody loved them, so they just wrote them into the script.
Yeah, they're squirrel hunters, and they're convinced that everything going on is squirrels out to get them and killer squirrels, and they're discussing like tactical situations with squirrels. And
yes.
they can do.
And then they cut back to him too in the scene in the church later. They're talking about what the problem is. This is the squirrels.
There's the movie starts off really cool. I wanted to put this like they had to have spent a decent amount of their budget on the animation.
Yeah.
Because they have this really, really cool, it's not like cartoon animation, but almost like a kind of comic book thing where there'll be a couple moving parts across something, and it's like there's somebody narrating in what seems to be an indigenous accent that his brave tribesmen had a fear of this horrible moose monster that was killing them off, and they were brave and tough and they could kill anything, but they could not kill this. And so they set up this ritual with a totem to send it to the underworld because they could not kill it. And this would remain successful as long as the totem existed. And then, as they say, until a couple of idiots came along and screwed it all up.
And then it was just evil layaway.
Yeah. And you see a couple of guys who are out paintball, shooting each other and playing around. And to light their campfire, they go off and get some campfire wood. And one of them just carries an entire fucking totem all the way over and just lays it down in the campfire. So there's like a little bit of wood and then this totem with moose antlers and everything that they're like toasting hot dogs on.
As you do.
Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know, it's going to last a while, I guess. But
I mean,
until it doesn't.
right. I mean, whenever I find a mysterious totem in the middle of nowhere in the woods, I'm thinking, let's make s'mores.
Yeah.
Throw some hot dogs.
And why wouldn't you? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but as they're
Why we listen to
So,
this is why we listen to the indigenous tales, so we don't end up in this mess.
Yeah. Totally.
So while this is being used as a hot dog roaster, which, okay, here's the deal for me. They have a totem with moose antlers on it, and they're roasting their hot dogs, and they're like trying to get it under the hot dog under here. Why wouldn't you just rest it on the antler and let it cook that way?
For the same reason they made a fire with a totem. And I'm going to go back to my favorite monologue, the opening of Rubber, on this one, and just say no reason.
All right. But as they're toasting their one of them has fallen asleep, but the other one is toasting his hot dog. Suddenly, there's an explosion from the totem pole, and slowly we eventually get to see dun, 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 the moose comes rising from the lake.
Moose and squirrel.
The moose is going to get you. The moose was not on fire, but the totem was, because they let the motherfucker burn. And
Didn't say the moose is on fire.
And he is why there is no squirrel.
The moose is on fire. I seem to be on fire. So,
Animated sequence you were talking about. It reminded me of the sequence where they're talking about the rabbit and Monty Python's Search for the Holy Grail. I don't know why, because they're talking about this killer moose and all this shit, and then that same thing where they're talking about the rabbit and everything, specifically in that movie. Like, the sequences were just, even with like the dry humor behind it, like, very reminiscent of some Monty Python for me.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
There had to be some influence there.
Yeah.
There's always some kind of influence from Monty Python in a lot of these movies.
And if you've not looked at any of the Tundra comics, basically what it is Far Side, but with a lot of Alaskan humor.
I put a link to it up, and we'll put a link to it on YouTube after we get done with this. So if you'll go to the credits in there, you can check it out. It's amazing. It's a great comic strip.
And they're doing a Patreon and a big Patreon push right now on their Facebook. I noticed today.
Yeah. Also, when you first enter Gangrene Gulch, all the flannel, everything is flannel and fur hats.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I want to move
Middle
there.
of summer, flannel and fur hats.
So anyway, Del, if you would like to, Del, Raz, whoever, you want to walk us through the actual story there?
Sure. We start off with I forgot we have to introduce, was it Edna, I believe is her name?
Yeah, Edna.
Yeah. Edna is the secretary who is a violent narcoleptic.
Yep.
She falls asleep, and if you wake her up or as she's falling asleep, she flings things at you, and some of them are very sharp and pointy and bad.
Yes.
Or fragile or heavy. But there is a call on the walkie-talkie. Eagle's Nest, which is Edna, to Bald Eagle, which is Mike. Code 42, out at this location. And he's like, what's a code 42? Oh, that's 2 male campers playing paintball who appear to be severely beaten to death. That's oddly specific, wouldn't you say? People made fun of us and thought we were crazy for all the codes that we made up. But when so-and-so had the encounter with the bear, well, let's just say he'll never go fly fishing naked again, and nobody's laughing now. And that was a 113, apparently.
Yes.
But they go out to check out conspiracy. Yeah. There's a little boy. We'll hop over there real quick before we go out to the thing. Where I wrote down his name. What's in here somewhere?
Mike's son, isn't it? Or is it just a little kid that hangs? Because I
Oh,
know
it's
he hangs
Norman.
out with at least. Yeah, Norman.
Yeah, Norman. He's a little kid with a tinfoil hat. That's an alien conspirator, and he's like, he's an alien. Watch out for his tentacles coming to get you. Don't
He's
say I
also
didn't
kind of
warn
an
you.
asshole.
I do have to wonder. A lot of these characters. I wonder if some of the actors had some experience in, say, improv.
Oh yeah,
comedy.
quite a bit. It seemed
Okay.
like, and from what I was able to look up, a good number of these actors, like some of them actually had classical training and like were actually had done stage and all kinds of different acting before.
Hmm.
And the acting on this movie was done the way it was done intentionally. Like they didn't just ham it up. They kind of had to like lower themselves, a lot of them, into these roles because they
Yeah.
were used to doing like more professional things in a number of the cases. And they were actually this was just a passion, fun project for them. So they came and just, how do we make a B movie? So a lot of the decisions they made across the board were based on, okay, we have money to make this look really good, but we shouldn't because we need it to look like this. And that carried all the way through to the acting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to go faster than what I usually do because otherwise I'm just dragging everything out because there are too many pages of notes. But the park rangers get out and discover a destroyed campground and 2 dead bodies, one of which is up in a tree with his leg falling off. And they meet Sam, the hot girl who is also the assistant coroner / crime scene specialist / assistant public librarian. And Zach thinks she's pretty hot and he gets tongue-tied around her.
Yeah.
But she's like, oh yeah, definitely a moose attack. And he's like, how is this a moose attack? He has found him. He's in a tree and his leg fell off. How is this a moose attack? You don't know about moose, man. They get really violent. And it keeps going on. And there's just horrible things in this town that he has to get used to.
This is essentially Northern Exposure.
Gone
with
wrong.
It's gone really, really wrong. Yeah.
And Zach is the protagonist of this whole movie because he really is the protagonist of the whole movie. Like his just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Comments like, and just the looks on his face. It's like his acting is tremendous, and he seems to be the only one in this whole town that realizes how fucking stupid all this shit is. He's just like, really, a moose? Okay, sure. Let's just go with that. A moose dressed as a hobo. Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
He just came from getting his order taken by a puppet.
Yeah.
But the one comment he makes is, everybody in this town crazy? Oh, I don't think anybody's crazy. Well, except for Rodney over there. And they point at Rodney, and Rodney's in scuba gear and an outhouse. There's also a plethora, well, not a plethora, but a decent scattering of mimes. And
There is.
the mimes are there on spring break from Cabbage Gulch, where they go to the academy, but they come here for their spring break to hang around and not talk to anybody. But they don't get any noise complaints. So, oh yeah. When the brothers, Doug and Wayne, are looking, when they find the campgrounds before they call it in for them to come out, the one gets frightened and his shotgun goes off and he shoots the corpse. You think he's dead? Well, he is now.
That scene was awesome.
Yeah, but so they go through, and there's a number of different scenes where people go out and are killed in various ways, like decapitation by a moose, vehicular accident by a moose, a bunch of fucking hippies who get destroyed and cut up into tiny itty bitty pieces.
Which is one of the best sequences in the entire thing.
Oh God.
Star Child just like hug a tree. And then nature came out of nowhere and it was furry and it walked on 2 legs and it had these antler things and it was dressed like a hobo. And there was that musk, that word. Say the word with me, man. Musk. Musky.
Okay.
I love so hard that Mountain Dew legit came out of my nose today because I'd forgotten about that scene.
Yeah, so they're trying to put all these people. Well, and there's also the cleanup crew guys who are also the ambulance, who are also the tow truck, who are also
roadkiller.
Like Yeah, they
Right.
cover for everything, and they just throw people like, "Can we field dress these corpses?" No, they need to go through autopsy. Can we just field dress one of them? No, you cannot field dress the corpses. They need,
I remember when it
and
used
he's
to be
just
fun,
throwing
Sam.
people in.
Mhm. I mean, there's a scene where there's like the town meeting, and they're talking about the moose, and you get a shot of one of the guys just kind of rubbing his tummy and going, that just seems tasty.
Yeah.
So yeah, they finally discovered that based on his description, and Mike, the head ranger, actually like swerves to miss the moose man, hits a tree, and then the moose man can't for some reason completely get into his truck, so he like drives branches through the windows, stomps on it, and Mike survives, where he is sitting at home recovering with an IV full of beer that his
Beer
mail
and his
order
medication.
Yes. One Piece mostly. But his mail order bride from Canada who refuses to speak English, and he's like, "You might notice she's very short. It's because I chose the cheapest shipping option when I ordered her online." And she glares at him, and you hear these little peg steps because
I'm sorry, hon.
and she's just so pissed. But he described the same moose thing, and so they discover that there is indeed the legend of a moose man that dresses like a hobo, and the whole town is making fun of. They're like rioting at this point, and they're like, "You expect us to believe in a moose man?" While they're all screaming out like, "It's the squirrels! It's this!" And they can't get anybody to shut up. And finally, a mime screams out, "It's global warming!" And everybody just stops and looks, and then so they all make fun of him, and they find this old guy who wrote a book on legends and tells you exactly how to kill the moose, and they go out to try to kill the moose. And
I feel like
It's
he's
a
me.
pop-up
See,
book.
yeah, it's a pop-up book.
it's
His
a
whole
pop-up book.
shtick is exactly something that I would do. Like that whole character just felt lifted like me for some reason.
yeah. So
But he makes them pay for the book. That's the funniest part about it. He
Yes.
makes them pay for it, and they don't even know
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a pop-up book until after they pay $30 for the book, and then $5 for
Yeah.
the signature, and then he's only got 40, and he's like, "You got any change?" No, and he just takes his money and hands him the sides of the book.
and one of the other fun points when they're talking with George the coroner, he has tested the hairs that he found. This is quite before they believed him, but the hairs that were found on the bodies were all for the same moose. And it wasn't just a moose, it was an evil moose. And the DNA was able to identify it as being 3 Darth Vaders worth of evil of a moose.
Yeah, if you compared evil to midichlorians, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh my God.
But don't worry, because Zach vetted this guy, and this guy actually has a medical degree, and he worked his way up from sock puppets and marionettes to neighborhood animals and then to people, and went to med school. And when asked how he got into med school, the answer was affirmative action, because the puppet's Irish, but
Yes.
does not sound Irish.
No.
Yes.
I would try to imitate it myself, but I don't want to be,
Yeah, that might be bad.
blacklisted.
Yeah.
It's
So
a surprise scene that when you guys will see it, you'll get it and you'll understand it, and you'll think it's hilarious.
yeah, and there are a couple of Chekhov's guns scattered all over the fucking place in this movie.
Right.
But yeah, the way to kill the moose man is ridiculously specific and difficult for them to do. So they all have plans, and they all have to run around, and everybody gets involved in doing things or hiding from them depending on who you are. But I don't want to give away the very ending because it's just too fun. You guys have to watch and see the end for yourself because but Zach does earn his flannel by the end.
He does.
Like he's
me,
officially,
and that was the most important part of the movie to me personally. He earned his flannel.
You got your flannel. You're a real guy. You got
So,
Alaska.
Obviously, this Moose, the movie, left me with the warm, fuzzy feeling that makes me realize that I may have actually witnessed something amazing that not too many people are going to know about because of the obscurity.
Yes.
And I feel it. I feel it is my purpose in life, as you will,
Mhm.
to make everyone know about this movie. Like other movies that has come before it, like Velocipaster, or the before mentioned Killer Sofa,
Yeah.
things like that. People need to know about this movie. This
As
movie
of
is
this
amazing.
as of this time, while we are doing this broadcast, you can only find it for rental or for purchase on Amazon Prime. We scoured everywhere.
Yeah.
We had people helping us scour everywhere just to make sure, so we could all make sure that we watched it. And yeah, so you can only get it on Amazon Prime right now. Good luck. Well, not good luck. Do it. It's worth
Do
it.
it.
It's
Yeah.
like 99
It's only
cents
$5
for a rental or $5 to own
with
it.
the
So,
own.
yeah.
You'd
Yeah,
want to
so-
own it though.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
want to own this. I agree with Jenny.
Yeah.
This is something you guys just have to buy straight up.
This will be an annual viewing, family. I mean, gatherings.
Yep.
Okay, everybody sit down. We're going to watch Moose the movie. It's perfect for Thanksgiving, I think.
But you have to have burgers, though.
No, see, I think of it more as an Independence Day type of movie because of some comments that are made.
Okay,
It's a summer
Fair
watch,
enough.
like if I'm
Especially
going to
with
go a
the-
Thanksgiving movie, it's got to be Thanksgiving because Killer Turkey.
Okay, Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving 3.
I mean, they were both good, but the first one was my favorite, obviously.
Yeah, it was a magical movie because it took something that's not even 60 minutes long and made it feel like 3 hours.
No, an acquaintance of mine not only played a character in the first one and helped with the third one, and helped with the musical and reprised himself. He goes by Huge, and he's outside of Columbus, Ohio, in that area.
Okay,
Huge is also he's a geeky nerdcore rapper. Amazing human being. I still talk to the guy. So if we do a Thanksgiving thing later, maybe I'll see if we can tempt him to join us because you guys will love him. He's fantastic. Same sense of humor that we all have too. So
nice.
That would be fun. And
he played the super dorky guy Darren in the original movie.
Okay,
Oh, brutal.
But I'd love to get some people Moose up in here now because I have questions, man.
yeah, Chad Carpenter, Tundra Comics. We will have those links for you again.
Yes.
Once I get up, I just was running late last night, so sorry. I'll get this.
So on a scale of 1 to
One to Moose.
10, or 1 to Moose, how do you rate this movie?
Oh, it's 10. It's a Moose all the way for me. Like this is again, like you say, it's one of those rare gems, man. Like even for people like us that love the worst of the worst. This one was great because it was billed as being the worst. It was filmed as the worst, but just the techniques and everything about it actually kind of make it the best of the worst of all time. So I'm gonna rate here on out every movie we ever do from 1 to Moose now. I think in honor of.
Okay. All right. Del?
10 Moose.
And I love it, but I've seen so many other ones as well. I'm going to go a little bit lower just because I have expectations from other things. I'm going with a 7.5. And that's not, it's a great movie, but there were just a couple of,
Where did it lose points for you?
There were a couple of scenes that were just too drawn out. I think the raising of the moose and stuff, they tried too hard to put money in there that they could have saved some and done something else with. And I did eventually get more annoyed with the brothers that were the cleanup crew, ambulance drivers and stuff, for their like, oh boy, I'm gonna rub my nipples and stuff, and that kind of.
The gag went on a little too long.
Now, was that because we're both familiar with Fremont, Nebraska?
It could be.
Okay.
We have that here too, I promise.
Right.
It just felt a little like, okay, you could have added more of Doug and Monty than having these two, you know.
Okay, fair enough.
But one of them has a twin. Star Child.
What?
Star
Yeah.
Child is the twin of one of the Cleanup brothers.
Really?
And they were both played by the same person. At one point, he was literally making fun of himself in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
She's the hippie. The hippie Star Child is actually the twin of one of the, like she said, same actor.
Bartholomew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they green screened him on like side by side with himself, making fun of himself. And you see Zach just going, the covered one eye, covering the other eye. Like they don't actually ever say they're twins, but when you
I
see them
missed
close up
that.
next to each other, you can tell. And then Zach's physical cues, like, okay, yeah, they really are twins. Well, they're supposed to be.
Okay. Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah, that was why that whole interaction was so funny, because they were twins and they were making fun of each. Well, he was making fun of Star Child.
So, all right, Jenny.
Yeah, I'd give it general, what is it, 8 Mises?
8 Mises.
But 8
Moose?
Mises. According to various Canadians, they call it Mises. So I'm like, let's give it 8 Mises. I thought it was a funny word. So yeah, I liked it. It's not my favorite, but it's really good.
Curious, what is your favorite?
The really bad horror movies?
Yeah.
Probably Killer Tongue.
That's a good one.
Curious.
That's a good one.
I haven't watched that.
Haven't heard that one. Do we have a contender for a future show?
I did mention it in chat.
Okay.
Chat
I'll have to
rules,
consider
though.
it. Okay. Oh, okay.
But
We'll make a list here soon because I've got a number of them.
we'll be putting that list on our Discord site, which y'all should join.
If
You
only
can
we
give
had,
us
like,
feedback
something
on the
up.
shows and suggestions. Yeah,
Yep.
working on that.
Oh, I only said because I thought you did. My bad. I didn't mean to set you up for nothing there. That's my fault.
Nope, I have one, but it is in our links on the comments if you go down to the Discord. And we have sections there where you can give us suggestions, tell you what you think, hang out,
Yeah.
chat in general, just have fun.
Any questions?
And we'll eventually be doing some
rebukes?
streaming stuff there too.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
we also just added a Twitch channel that's down there. We're going to be doing
Really?
some gaming style of stuff
Yeah.
that you'll be able to contribute with eventually in the future if you follow us on Twitch, and we're going to have some fun there.
Yeah, we're gonna do some
Nice.
D&D, some random video gaming shit, all kinds of stuff, guys.
So,
I need to know, James, how many mooses did it get for you, man?
Yes.
well, as for me, I was about to get into that. This one, it's a good, solid 9 out of 10. And this is because, and I agree with Dell there, that there are some minuscule points where it's like, just let's get on with this. But for the most part, this was the perfect example of, taking something and just really putting your heart into it, not needing a lot of money to do so, and just having fun with a lot of the, the meta humor and just the jokes that were obviously these guys were inspired by a lot of what I like to call the absurdist humor that I'm really into as well. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's just puppet. Other people would probably go, I don't understand where they're using a puppet. These are the same people who would watch, like, I remember there were some people I went to high school with where we would watch the Holy Grail, and they would ask, like, I don't get it. Why are they using coconuts instead of riding a horse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to bring up one thing that I noticed when you started talking about it, that I noticed this time around that I had not noticed last time around. Even if we talked about it, I forgot about it, but I don't know if we noticed it or not. There is a scene where they are being chased by the moose, and they go to hide in Doug and Monty's
Yes.
cabin,
Right.
which is actually an RV trailer that's just parked out, and they spend all their budget on their outhouse, which
And
is
it
a
looks
really nice
Damn
outhouse.
nice outhouse.
Yes.
It's a fucking nice outhouse.
I,
But they have this RV trailer, and they're inside there, and they're like, hopefully this will protect us. And it's like, you do realize that our back wall is held on by duct tape, don't you?
He said part of the back
Yeah.
wall.
Yes.
Initially.
And he goes, yes, it's part of the back wall. My brother exaggerates. It's the entire back wall. And so as the moose is attacking the thing, you hear, I can't remember which one of them it is, but going like, duct tape shields at 50%, duct tape shields down to 30%. And if you look, they're both wearing long johns in the thing. One is in gray, the other is in white with their little beanie caps on. But while he's doing that scene, the guy who's doing it is dressed in a red ensign shirt from Star Wars. Kind of a shiny one.
Star Trek, my love.
My bad.
Just started a war.
Oh, somebody just went. Ooh.
And then as soon as it's down, he's back in his thing.
Ever.
So it's only when he delivers that line is that shirt on, and then he's snapped right back into just wearing his long johns again. It was just.
That was one of the moments. That and what you guys took points off for are the reasons why I gave it a 10, to be honest with you, because every B movie, especially if you're setting out to specifically make one, has to have some pacing errors. And it usually always has to involve the creation of the bad guy. Mm-hmm. Traditionally, think about every B film you've ever watched. That's where the biggest problematic pacing moment always is. In all of them. And they did it. And they pulled it off exactly. Little moments like that where suddenly there's a wardrobe change, whether it's on purpose or not. And in this case, it was because it was part of a gag. But a lot of times that's not on purpose because it was just it was such a chill set, or people just weren't paying attention and they were stoned out of their minds or whatever. They were drunk. That the person that was supposed to be paying attention to people's clothing just forgot to take pictures that day. So someone wore a different shirt and they didn't catch it until editing. Yeah. It's like there's all these little mistakes that you could tell because of the way they did them. Yeah. That they were pointing at all these mistakes that are made in B films, but they were doing it on purpose and had this little tongue-in-cheek kind of a clue that it was on purpose if you like really watched it. But again, some of those I also didn't discover until the second watching. So I think, again, like we talked about earlier, the more you watch it, the more you realize how many of these things were literally done for the sake of doing it.
Oh yeah, this is a case of Moose the movie being one of those rare gems where every time you watch it, you get something new out of it. So,
yeah, so many gags.
Yeah,
so many.
I appreciate you sharing it with me.
So, oh, you just wait, Jenny. It gets so much worse from here.
The thing.
All you guys, you have so much to look forward to because
you guys don't understand.
Yeah.
So
I want a sneak peek of like some things that you guys think we should do because I have a couple.
Well, here's the thing. I have over the decades collected, those 50 movies for $20 packs.
Love
from
those.
Like Walmart of the horror and the sci-fi. And sure, a lot of them are in the public domain.
Yeah.
It really was a nice outhouse.
It was.
Joshua also gives us 7.5 out of 10.
Thank you. Sorry.
Mises. The Misai.
I love these Mises to pieces.
He's going to be joining me with the watching of everything you guys decide we're going to do.
No one here will watch any of these movies with me.
I have some stinkers in my own personal collection.
Good.
So, and if you
go on titles, just off the top of your head that
just off the top of my head, like the Killer Shrews, Attack of the Killer Shrews, and that there's a 1980 werewolf one, Werewolf from Washington D.C. or something.
Okay.
That sounds. I don't know.
We definitely have to do Killer Sofa soon.
Yes,
that's another.
Sofa. And if
my God,
you Peru Amazon Prime is just ripe, just for the pickings.
Wait, are you talking about Werewolf of Washington from '73 or
yes?
Film? Okay, yeah. Okay, I just looked up. I have seen that one.
Werewolf of Washington, yeah.
Nice.
So,
I know there's some just absolute torture films that I definitely want to watch with you guys. Number one is the worst movie ever made, which is Troll 2, because I've never actually sat and watched Troll 2, and it's been a long time with a group of people just talked about it. Because there's a legit documentary that's called The Worst Movie Ever Made.
Yeah, I've seen that one. It's
no bug.
Kind of sad.
But there's that. One of my absolute favorite terrible ones, though, is Wolf Cop. And the whole tagline for Wolf Cop is half wolf, half cop. Oh man. And you literally see him in his police uniform as a werewolf shooting a gun and driving a car. There's two of them. I've only seen the first one. I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch part two. It's one of the movies that made me no longer allowed to pick movies for movie night. It was one of several movies. The other movie is have you guys ever seen Jack Frost, the horror movie?
Yes.
Yes.
That same company made a series of films that are all connected, and the connection is that they're all different killers that actually ended up escaping to become these different things. One of them is called Monster. He gets doused in chemicals just like Jack Frost does, but he ends up going a different route in the sewers and hitting a waste treatment plant, and he's a were-turd. Yeah, and that's the whole premise of the movie. And at one point in time, the cops are driving around and going, "All right, everybody, pretend this is the fucking Middle Ages. If you got a shit in a bag and throw it out your front window. The monster is on the loose." That's another winner. It was those two movies. And and Winter Beast.
It sounds like a shit movie.
It is a shit movie. Winter Beast is perhaps one of the most infamous horror films ever made. It took many years to finish. It involves live action actors, claymation during death scenes for no reason other than to save money on budget. It's seen as a weird avant-garde, bizarro horror film that almost never got finished, and somebody picked it up after it was abandoned and just slapped an ending on it and released it back in the 80s. It's hard to find, but I happen to have a copy of it, so we're good. But it's those three movies are what got me banned, and no one I know here locally would watch anything with me anymore if I suggest it.
Well, I'm right up there with you. I mean, there's a movie from 1993 called Ticks.
Oh, I love
Ticks.
Ticks.
Co-stars Alfonso from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air somehow, and it's about giant radioactive ticks.
And they're like fucking big, dude. Like they're huge.
I mean, there's like the 90s was rife with straight to video like Carnosaur.
Dude, yes.
You need to do Carnosaur.
Skeeters.
Yeah, Skeeters.
It was basically ticks, but with mutated mosquitoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Those are some good ones. I think my favorite B horror film of all time, though, is Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. It's always been my number one favorite. I don't know why. The theme song's always stuck in my head.
Now, what do you think of the sequel?
There's 4 of them, actually.
Well, the first sequel.
The first one, the original sequel they did, Sci-Fi did that one. Or not Sci-Fi, but it was USA, I think.
It had Clooney in there.
Yeah. I absolutely loved it. It was actually so Clooney was filming 2 movies on a Backlot horror set. It was Return to Horror High and Killer Tomatoes. Return to Killer Tomatoes. Filmed at the same time. That was his break into acting. Like those 2 movies, like the same time we're filming. I loved it. It dialed up the camp hardcore. It also led it right directly into the cartoon, because the cartoon is a continuation of Return.
Yeah.
I loved Fuzzy Tomato. FT is awesome. But then they made the other 2, which was Killer Tomatoes Eat the World and Killer Tomatoes Eat France. I said them out of order. But yeah, Killer Tomatoes Eat France and Eat the World were really, they weren't even good bad. They were just really bad, but I still watch them anyway when I'm watching Tomatoes.
If I remember correctly, from the original Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, the kid who they used to sing Puberty Love became the drummer of one of the Seattle bands. I think it was Pearl Jam, I think.
Oh my god. I think you're right. I got to double check them. I'm pretty sure you're right about
that. Just in April, Jeff Strand, great horror author and horror humor author, released the novelization this past year of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Really?
So
yes,
go out,
awesome.
Look it up. He's somebody else we should try to grab sometime, because his works are us. They are hysterical and horror.
If you happen to check out Audible, he's got a couple of his stuff on there for free on if you get like the month-long stuff, which we'll be talking a lot more about soon, actually. I've listened to a number of his stories and read a bunch of other ones, and I know a lot of the same people that know him through the Horror Writers Association. I've never actually gotten to meet Jeff, though, so like that's on my list.
Mm-hmm.
But
I have amazing. I have an autographed copy of I can't remember. I always get it wrong. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Sorry.
And by the way, it was Matt Cameron, the drummer of both Soundgarden and Pearl Jam. 'cause,
Okay.
it was both.
Okay.
The Greatest Zombie Movie Ever is the name of the one that I have an autographed copy of. And it's this hysterical, like, coming of age story type of thing set around the filming of a zombie movie.
Yep.
And I've talked to him about it because I've tried to cite it and I'll be like, the greatest zombie movie ever made. And it's like, nope, that's not it. And he's like, people get that title wrong every single time they try to cite it because there's just too many words and it's like the greatest ever zombie movie. Nope, that's not it. So that's why I had to look it up to make sure I actually said it right. But
Oh, yeah. His shit is awesome. One of my favorites was probably the Haunted Forest tour. It was like Jurassic Park, but instead of dinosaurs, it's horror creatures and like weird animals and monsters and shit. Basically, on a tour with like a tour bus that just goes through the area. That one was really funny and really gory and awesome.
So, out of curiosity from everybody here, what was the movie that made you get into the B movies, more of the schlockier type of cinema? For me, it was the trauma classic, Toxic Avenger.
I gotta be honest. I would like to say it was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes because I saw it first, but I did not yet understand about film. I just thought it was an old 60s or 70s movie. I didn't know really what it was, so I didn't understand what B was. I did not understand B until Rhonda Up All Night on the USA Network with the original showing they ever did of, just like you said, Toxic Avenger. We
Nice.
taped all three of them because they all came on back to back when they first got viewed. And to this day, my mother has a blank VHS tape with them all recorded. On the label, it only says toxic waste, do not erase. And she still has that to this day. So Toxie was definitely my first love. And if you
Nice.
get a chance to get up, it's the 20th or 25th anniversary edition of it. I'll have to look it up for sure. I am in a cutscene, or not a cutscene. He did a bunch of extras. And he paid me a copy of the entire box set signed to get on camera and say that the first time I ever masturbated as a child was during the shower scene of the first movie. And I'm actually in there in the special features from this interview he did at cons with all these different people.
Okay.
Yeah, random fun fact.
I actually had the Gateway movie, which it wasn't B horror, but it got me there into it, which
Okay.
is Mel Brooks, who just turned 97 2 days ago, by the way.
Okay,
Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
He's also getting an honorary Oscar, even though he already has an Oscar. They're
Yes.
giving him an extra one.
Yep, and Spaceballs too. Which
Yeah.
is exciting.
Yeah.
Spaceballs is what got me into Mel Brooks.
And yeah,
Young
but
Frankenstein for me, and then Spaceballs.
yeah, it was Young Frankenstein made me go, horror can be funny, because I was always up watching Theater of the Macabre, which is our local version of like Elvira. It was all the Universal monsters and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and our really quiet one, Jenny.
Jennifer,
They always have something to say. I don't want to like jump in but
Oh no, you jump in there and drop
that's
people's
a
elbow. You do what
problem.
you gotta do.
Okay, the problem is I have utterly no idea. I've been watching horror movies my whole entire life, even ones I really probably shouldn't have been watching. And B movies, really good ones. I don't care if it's horror movies. I usually give it a try because my dad always gave it a try. It's like, hey, we found a new one at the local video rental store or Blockbuster. If you went wherever he went, and he'd just grab it and we'd watch.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was when I was a kid, it was always, my parents would always try to keep me from watching the big scary movies. They wanted their son to grow up and not be disturbed, and unfortunately they let me watch the old school Disney movies,
Which is worse.
like, Sleeping Beauty has that scene, this scene.
Yeah.
And also Fantasia not only does it have the classical music, but it also has Night on Bald Mountain.
Yeah.
Which the
Isn't
definitive.
Return to Oz a form of a horror movie?
Oh,
Yes.
it totally is. 100%.
Oh yeah.
None of us were prepared for that movie when it dropped.
The Wizard of Oz has its horror elements. I remember just freaking out from the flying monkeys and the trees that threw the apples. But and this was going to be in the list of the movies that I love that nobody else seemed to like. But Disney's The Black Hole,
Oh, that was good.
and I was rooting for Maximilian, that killer red robot, and I was 6, and my father kept going, "What's up with that?" Yes, that's not the good robot. Yeah, but look, spinny things.
Yeah.
Side note, interesting little tidbit of factoid information. Um, the reason that everybody thinks that lemmings will all run off of a cliff and drown themselves is because of footage that Disney did on a documentary about lemmings, and they don't do that really normally. It was just a random weird clip that they filmed of lemmings. So thank you, Disney, for making everyone think that lemmings are suicidal or like mass suicidal.
And they did another one that was like that. That was also very weird about the dodo bird. Super weird whole thing about the dodo. Well, it was the whole thing about how they became extinct and like all this stuff. And then, of course, Warner Brothers has features dodos in Looney Tunes and Tiny Toons.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't even know if I've seen that.
No,
Go-Go Dodo is one of the main characters in Tiny Toons, and he's amazing.
Now, it's kind of on the same wavelength, but as I mentioned, the trauma films is when I got into the really bad movies. However, what got me into the horror movies entirely is Evil Dead 2, which was my first rental from. There was an Applause video in Fremont, Nebraska before Blockbuster took over and just kind of melted everything down.
Yeah.
Was that the one in the mini ball by Little King?
Yeah. That was the
I dated somebody who worked there.
Well, now it's a 24-hour fitness, but it used to be a WC Franks, and then it became an Applause video. But they had
mom and pop shops, man.
Some of the greatest, like VHS horror section. Like that's where I watched got rented The Black Rose, that movie, and also saw Pink Floyd The Wall for the first time.
Nice.
So yeah,
we had a place like that called Carrie's Videos. Little mom and pop. Carrie owned the place.
Okay.
And in the horror section specifically, for some reason, Carrie would always get all of the actual big life-size cardboard cutouts, along with a lot of the movies that were coming out. So specifically only in the horror section, you'd see all these cutouts displayed perfectly with all the box art and everything, so you could see. And that was one of the things, of course, I'm not going to go into it a lot because I've talked about this a million times, but my mom got me into horror, yada, yada. A million shows will cover that. You can go back and watch this. But the same day that she gave me the magic library card where she marched me into the library and said, "This is my son, let him get whatever he wants." That same day, because they're right down the street from each other, we drove down the street for like a minute and a half, went to Carrie's Video. My mom said, "Okay, whatever my son wants to rent, just let him. Just rent it. This is who I am. You've seen this movie, that that I've done some, special effects stuff for." Yeah. And I ended up getting a very special relationship with the owner, man. Like, Carrie was cool as shit. And that's how I really, between my mom, my cousin, and Carrie, that's how I got all my horror film education. And they started me with like black and white stuff. I mean, they took me back to silent, even. Like, they took me all the way back. We went through our Technicolor phases and all this different stuff. So like everything I knew about horror cinema was just, there was 3 people teaching me everything constantly. You need to watch this movie. You need to watch that movie next. So like it was just a constant, never-ending video list that I keep going for myself now because I still watch a lot of new shit that comes in. But like, I've seen everything from so many different decades worth of horror, just from people showing my face and going, "Here, you watch this and tell me about it." But you couldn't just watch the movie, because after you were done watching it, they would all 3 of the people that taught me about horror wanted to talk to me about it. They wanted to know why I liked it, why I didn't like it. Like, they had me dissecting this stuff at like single digits age. Because I think that was the summer before I turned 9 that I got my open cards to go and get whatever I wanted. But it was really cool.
I remember as a little one having to be able to recite and name off whether it was Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney, or Bela Lugosi that was in the movie we were watching for the night.
Nice.
Karma, my mother taught me that. So
That's important, man.
it
I think
was.
Oh yeah.
I think as much as trauma,
And she hates horror.
yeah, right. I think as much as trauma kickstarted me into like the B stuff, what kept me there firmly and made me the true lifelong fan was the Full Moon Pictures. Because back then, they put out Puppet Master, Blood Dolls, Demonic Toys, like all these awesome properties. But Full Moon VHSs were the only ones in horror, period, not even just indie horror, but in horror, period, where it would remind you at the beginning that there were special features on your VHS to stick around after the movie ended. And shit you not, that was the first time that anyone had ever really done a lot of special features. And it's in the horror industry. I'm sure other places had done it before. Maybe some horrors had done it, but every movie they released, the movie was over, all the credits ran. They said, "Now here's a sneak peek," and they would show you clips from other projects they were working on in the studio at the time and hadn't been released yet. They would also do. They would show you how they did the special effects for different scenes. They would do interviews with cast and crew, and it was like, like so many years before DVDs ever came out was with and of course everything has special features now, but it was so magic as a kid to not just watch these B movies, but actually getting to see more about how they did their techniques and what they had to say about it behind the scenes, and just it was magic, dude. That made you realize that B stuff was every bit as culturally important as the big movie theater stuff. It just was, and I know that's something that that Charles Band has kept going to this day. He still does all these things. He actually just bought a house in Ohio recently where they were just filming a new Puppet Master. They just released a new Subspecies. The new one just got released recently after decades. So like he's been doing a lot of Ohio stuff now, which is super exciting for me. But it just the way he's done all this, even Ginger Dead Man, Evil Bong, he brought in Tommy Chong into the franchise. Like he keeps it going, and Troma still does a lot. Uncle Lloyd still does a lot, but I don't think anyone independent B wise does as much as Full Moon does, like continuously.
Okay, well, we have hit an hour. Do you have anything else you want to go about with the movie tonight?
Since you brought that up, Julian Sands from Warlock.
Yeah,
we
just passed away recently. So
that was heartbreaking.
I remember him best from I remember him best from Arachnophobia, another movie I saw in the theaters. So, and I do apologize. Del was about to say something.
No. I was just like, yeah, that sucks.
I remember when he went missing many months ago, hiking and stuff, and it was a big thing. And like every week that would go by and no word. Everybody's searching for him, but still, like, there's no word. And when I saw that article the other day, I was like, before I even saw the identity of the missing hiker, I just knew it was going to be him. I just knew it. Right. And I scrolled down, and I was just like, man, yeah, that floored me for that. I'm still floored by it, to be honest with you. He was just such a kind and generous, nice guy. Right. I'd met him at a couple different cons, and everyone I met him at, he was just happy to see every single person that walked by. Even if you weren't there to see him, he'd just say hi. It was just
That's
crazy.
Cool. And you guys lulled him to sleep. He had a nap.
Okay.
Okay. Well, you guys want to wrap this up?
Sure. Well, I think this went splendid. I don't know about you guys, but I don't really have an outro.
All right. Well,
I should come up with one for next time, shouldn't I? Something snappy.
Snazzy going on. You can. I'll hop on real quick. You can catch me here most of the time, and when I'm not here, I'm over at the Dorkening, sometimes on Splash Pages and on Midweek Geeks, and those are Tuesday and Wednesday evenings. Otherwise, look me up on them interwebs, and you can see all my links above or below, depending on where you're looking. And if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe, please. We would love you. Join all of our stuff. The more we have you, the more we can share with you. So,
indeed. And if you become our 100th YouTube subscriber and can provide screenshots to prove this to us, there's going to be a very special surprise. So special, in fact, that we're never going to mention out loud what this surprise is. But if you can send us that proof and get us that information, it's going to be worth it. I promise.
Yes.
I'll just leave it at that.
Where can we find you, Raz?
Right here. I'm on your screen right now, buddy. Like,
Okay.
look,
Right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm always on the Allied Network in most of the shows, having a good time. RaskySlasher.com has pretty much most of the things that I'm doing. I'm revamping the website, and I'm mostly done with it. But there are so many other social medias that the lovely Jenny over here has gotten me on that I actually realized today that I didn't have buttons for to include. So I'm actually going to be going back and putting a lot more clickable icons on my on my website. Also, we have a new website for the network that we're going to be revealing probably this coming week sometime. We're just fine-tuning a couple bugs and stuff. So I've been working on that a lot. But yeah, man, just RaskySlasher.com here, everywhere. Just type in my name. I'm the only one that's going to pop up. So
Okay. And Jenny, where can we find you?
Hi. You can find me at Friday with the Library in the Blue Box. Friday with the Disorganized Library in the Blue Box is my group. If you comment on anything Raz or Owlite, I will definitely be able to find and give you an answer. And my walker of the 9 Circles of Hell and I, right here, points if you can guess his name, will be watching just about anything we can think of horror. I look forward to exploring more horror things with these beautiful people and you guys. Have an amazing night.
wait 1 second. You got something happening on Monday.
Oh, yeah. Unprinted Pages. My first episode back after the move. We are going to have Terry Sanders, Razky Slasher, and Patricia Harris are going to be my guests. And we are going to talk about the business side of authoring, and I am going to finally get my answer about all of their under the bed
Your audio cut.
Your audio just cut out there.
We lost you.
Yeah, your audio is gone.
She's gone mime.
Yeah, she's gone killer mime. Yeah, her mic might have finally died, but the point is, she's coming back with Unprinted Pages. Really excited about it. Honestly, Jenny does some amazing shows. She's interviewed me before. She's interviewed so many awesome people, and she's just a really awesome person to mediate and to run a show. And we thought the perfect thing here at the network would be to give her one of our, big primetime slots. So she's going to be her, and then eventually D&D will be Mondays, our Monday shows. So this is our very first Monday show we're launching, and we're launching it with Jenny. And awesome. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think you guys are really going to love and enjoy everything that she does. I know I do.
Okay. And as for me, you can find me meandering about with these lovely people at various shows, and especially here in the Tomb of the Terrible. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter at Uncle Necro, like it says right here. Okay. And hopefully we'll have so much awesome content. You just can't wait to just be a part of our madness. So until next time, I bid you adieu, and we'll see you guys later.